Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to buy a $20k engagement ring? Girlfriend and I have been dating for nearly 2 years. Recently we have started talking about marriage and engagement rings. She asked me what my budget was. I said $5k. She countered with $25k. I thought we compromised on $10k. But a couple weeks later she comes back with the ring she really wants, which is $20k. Funny enough, the exact same ring with a lab diamond of the same quality is just a smidge over $5k. I have always known that she values tradition much more than me, and she has always known that I'm rather frugal. She is now calling me cheap, that I hate the entire diamond industry. I was willing to spend $5k because I knew it was important to her. I've tried explaining what we could do with that $20k, invest it and retire 2-3 years earlier, use it as a down payment to buy a better house, etc. She counters with I just want it, that I can afford it, and that it's a good investment. After a few days of this, we had an animated discussion where I ended up telling her she has no financial literacy, that she just wants an expensive ring because she has a friend who got one, and that she just wants to show something off as a status symbol. She accused me of not thinking she was worth it, and I accused her of being materialistic, and that I said I was not comfortable merging finances with her. I make more than $200k, 4x her income, so I can afford it. But the thought of pissing away that much money makes me angry. For what it's worth, in 2-3 years we will likely be on equal financial footing. No kids and no plans for kids. Now, every time this comes up it devolves into the argument above. Am I the antagonist here? Current plan is to say we can buy a $5k ring with a lab diamond. She can tell people it's real if she wants. No one will know, and that we can buy a better ring in a few years when we have a house and are on equal financial footing. Is this a bad idea? Will I get my face torn off? Now for the top comments. NTA. Lab diamonds are in no way not real. They are very literally diamonds, just without the bloody and unethical sourcing. So at this point, she really just wants you to spend that amount for the sake of it, and you are not so wealthy that $20k is meaningless. I'm not sure why you even want to marry someone this shallow. I recently got engaged. It cost the same amount for a 1C mined diamond as a 1.5C lab grown. Therefore, I chose the lab grown. My ring is beautiful. There's just no reason not to go with a lab grown diamond. NTA, but it doesn't sound like you'll have similar values. Think long and hard about that. Financial compatibility matters. Have you discussed wedding and honeymoon costs yet? This could be the first step in some very expensive event planning. Am I the antagonist for not wanting my son to wear a dress to school? I, 35 male, am a single father and have been relatively supportive of my son's creativity. I think it's important for children to be creative so they find their true passion in life. My son, 12 male, is really into fashion and I'm sure he'll do wonderful things in the fashion industry. He explains a lot of new concepts to me like gender spectrum and other new things that someone like me wouldn't know. He told me that he wanted to appeal to the female gaze and the male gaze, so he wanted me to get him suits, dresses, makeup, etc. And TBH, I don't mind him wearing woman's clothing, but today when he was getting ready for school I saw him putting on one of his sundresses. I thought he was just trying out different outfits at first, so I went down to prepare some breakfast. When he came day I saw him still wearing the dress, but this time he had his backpack on. So I asked if he was wearing it to school. He said yes. I told him he couldn't and that he'd be bullied if he did. I'll spare you the details of the argument that we had, but he eventually took it off and wore boys' clothing. He was very upset at me though and cried during his ride to school. I want him to be happy and secure with who he is, but I also know how cruel kids can be. I don't want him to experience that type of treatment from his peers. Am I the antagonist? Edit. I live in Arlington, Texas. Now for the top comments. NTA, you're getting lots of hate, and your son probably hates you right now, but you did the right thing. Arlington, Texas is not the place to be gender fluid in middle school. He was going to get bullied, and it was almost certainly going to get ugly. I know a young man, now about 15, who had to change schools because of similar incidents. At the time he was about 12 and was exploring who he was. Unfortunately, his peers were not remotely accepting, and he was ostracized and subjected to bullying. In part due to the bullying, his grades had dropped, and he was no longer eligible for magnet/optional schools. He was going to have to attend his own school, a rather rough and low-performing school. Only because of the connections his mother's friend had was he able to get into a prestigious private school and reinvent himself. So while the people of Reddit may throw a lot of hate your way, you did the right thing in protecting your son from this experience. Arlington educator here, and you're right. This is not the place. Myself and my colleagues are doing everything we can to change hearts and minds. But even if we stopped every bit of it inside the building, it wouldn't prevent the inevitable threats of physical harm delivered outside or via social media. It makes me feel so sad for this young man and the father. It is a no-win situation that we have to face every day. With the laws in Texas, I understand the dad's concerns. Texas is not a safe place to live. Info: did you flat out say he couldn't wear the dress, or did you say that you thought it was a bad idea? If Op thinks it's a bad idea because he's afraid of violence from other students or the state, it doesn't matter. Op is obligated to protect his kid. Unpopular opinion, no a-holes here. It is the sad truth that he will be bullied for expressing himself. As his parent, you should explain to him there is nothing wrong with what he is doing. But some kids don't understand and will bully him for it. I want to say you should have given him a choice, as he should be given the choice. I still completely understand your perspective, which is why this is my judgment. Am I the antagonist for being harsh with my coworker while he was feeling depressed? The other day a coworker, 24 male, approached me while we were getting lunch. He looked really depressed. He asked if I, 21F, knew our boss, 29F, was gay. Since he is being transferred, he finally could ask her out. And that's when she told him. I told him I didn't know. And he said, so I wasn't the only one that was fooled. I told him grow up, she wasn't running some con to make you believe she was a heterosexual for your attention. You just read too deep into her being nice. He told me that's not what he meant. He has wanted to date her since he started here 3 years ago, and it just really hurts that she turned him down. He ended up letting it slip that he isn't giving up, and this further annoyed me. So I said, you know that's not how it works. You're not the one who will sweep her off her feet. You're just another creep who doesn't understand the word no. Drop it before she has to report you to ours. He proceeded to leave crying and has taken the last 3 days off of work. Most of our coworkers hate me now and say I'm enough for not being kinder while he was fragile. However, I think he needed a reality check. He outed her without her consent and wasn't going to take no for an answer. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, he needed a serious reality check before he ended up in front of ours with a sexual harassment grievance. Hell no, not the a-hole. He is exactly the sort of man that many women don't want anything to do with, the sort that won't take no for an answer and think being told no is evidence that they were deceived and led on. Thank you for standing up to his BS, and ask your colleagues if they approve of men stalking and harassing women, because that's potentially what it could lead to. You are not the a-hole. Go back to. He outed her without her consent and was planning to harass her into submission. EWW. He's angry now, but you may have stopped him from sabotaging his career. He didn't even out her as such. As far as he is considered, she invented her own sexuality as an excuse to reject him, which he will not accept. That's wrong on so many more levels. Am I the antagonist for not giving up my second free seat next to me in the plane? I'm obese. Like, I'm comfortable having 2 seats in the plane type of obese. I'm well aware of that, and I really don't like to bother people with my weight. A week ago I was going to a conference by plane, and because I was going alone, usually when I fly with my boyfriend I don't buy 2, since he sits next to me. I bought 2 seats. I fit in one, but my side is usually touching the person next to me, and I feel uncomfortable for them. It happened to me that they gave me nasty looks, and I felt extremely uncomfortable the whole flight. So I sat down in the plane and put the armrest up so I would be really comfortable. Some couple came and they both sat next to me because they got separate seats and they noticed the seat next to me was empty. Exactly what I was afraid of happened. My side kept touching the guy next to me and he even pushed me a bit when he moved in the seat. I was feeling extremely uncomfortable and asked him if he could go to his seat because I bought this one for my comfort. He told me no, since the seat is empty and he wants to be with his girlfriend. Well, I told him I understand, but I feel uncomfortable and I paid for the second seat so exactly this doesn't happen. He refused again and started to chat with his GF. I called the flight attendant and quietly told her what is happening. She asked the guy to leave my second seat and he and his GF gave me a nasty look. The GF mumbled something like fucking fat bitch under her breath but nothing directly to me. So am I the asshole for insisting on him to leave? Now for the top comments. NTA. It doesn't matter why you purchased that seat. You could have bought it for the spirits of your ancestors so they could guide you safely to your destination and it would have been no one's business but yours. Sorry this happened. Lol, I guarantee if you say that to someone trying to sit in your seat, they won't wanna sit down next time. Not the a-hole, op, but the unnecessary comments from that lady. Asshole behavior. NTA. You bought that seat. The couple sitting apart has nothing to do with you. I jaff if you were thin and bought a second seat for your emotional support ghost. That's your seat. Emotional support ghost brilliant. Op should use this excuse next time. Have an award. NTA. If it happens again, don't let them sit down. Block the extra seat and state immediately. I paid for 2 seats. This one is not available. Apostrophe. Once I got on a plane, Southwest, and they actually had a small piece of laminated paper sitting on a seat with this information. Made it easy to tell. Am I the antagonist for refusing to help out my ex with his son? Ex and I have been divorced for 8 years. His son is 8. Ex and I share 2 children together. Our son is 16 and our daughter is 14. Ex cheated and got the owl pregnant while we were together. When I found out I ended our marriage, he fought for our marriage until he realized nothing was going to change and then he entered a real relationship with Al. I always kept things distant between us. I didn't meet or interact with his son or the Al until 3 years after the divorce. And even then it was at a play for our son and we hardly interacted. A year later the Al died. Ex has been single since and raising his son. On more than one occasion he has asked me for help and I have always said no. He wanted me to be a maternal figure for his son and to take him sometimes while our kids were with me. He even tried to get my family to include his son as part of our family overall. Then a couple of months ago ex was in an accident and his son was placed in temporary foster care while he was recovering. He had asked me to take his son and I said no. He got back on his feet only recently and his son is back with him. He has now turned on me and tried to turn our kids on me. They told me he's always annoying them about it when they're with him for his parenting time. Ex has been telling everyone and anyone that I'm treating his son like trash, letting him go into foster care, etc. A couple of my friends are aware and think my stance was too harsh and that I'm in the wrong for not helping since he is my children's little brother. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. The child isn't to blame, but he is not your kid. Not the a-hole. Can your ex seriously not find another family member or close friend to temporarily house him? He has no one. But that is mostly due to his own choices. Crappy family he was born into isn't his fault, but he screwed up his friendships during our divorce because his friends dared be nice to me. NTA. This isn't on you. Just because you're a woman and mother doesn't mean other people's children are your responsibility. If it was a stepchild I'd think you were a nah, but this is a child you don't really know and don't have an existing relationship with. Your ex is the for trying to foist his love child on you. It's one thing to ask and another to bad talk you for setting a boundary. Some people are so entitled. I have no idea what her ex is thinking, but this kid is not hers to deal with. He should have gone to his family for help. Her family other than their 2 common children are not related, nor should he be forcing the kid on people. not the a-hole. NTA, your ex is a huge R, and you shouldn't have any more contact than necessary with him. Am I the antagonist for shutting down my GF and siding with my ex? My ex and I got a puppy Shadow a year into our relationship. Shadow was supposed to go to me if anything happened, but Shadow didn't seem to like me that much and loved my GF from the start. I did take care of him and spent a lot of time training, but he seemed aloof to me and would choose to spend time with my ex any day. I was really disheartened by this, and when we broke up I offered to let my ex keep Shadow. I also didn't have a stable income, and it was hard finding an apartment that allowed dogs, while my ex had a dog-friendly apartment already, so I decided it was better for him to be with her. It's been a few years and occasionally she brings Shadow back to visit me. She just drops him off and brings him out after a few hours. I still don't have another dog because of how unstable my mental health and income is, and visits from Shadow is great for me, but I can't commit to a dog long term. I started dating my current GF about 8 months ago, and she started noticing Shadow's visits and asked me about them. I told her the whole story, and she got upset that I chose to give my dog to my ex and wanted me to try to get him back so she and I could raise him. I told her Shadow was happy with my ex, and I didn't have any intention of asking for him back. She got upset and accused me of still being in love with my ex, which is why she was allowed to keep the dog, and I was annoyed she was using Shadow as a bargaining chip and told her we could get ourselves a dog, but Shadow was my EXS, and it was the end of the story. She has been upset for a few days and refused to speak to me, claiming I'm taking my EXS side against her. Now for the top comments. NTA, you did what was best for your dog, and it was the right thing. I don't know why your GF is being so upset about this. Because she's very insecure and very selfish. These qualities usually go together. Don't date someone who thinks a dog is a trophy or would be willing to do that to a dog to win. NTA. What is wrong with your girlfriend?